So, one question that came up recently was about sleeping and how to find the right balance for sleep. Should we feel bad for deciding to go to sleep? Because, if I was so determined and had so much determination for Dhamma, then I would never accept to lose 1 minute by going to sleep. Or how do I deal with this? So, there are two main points. First of all, is to have a kind of common sense to know the difference between laziness and tiredness. We don't have a choice to sleep. Like, we cannot say, I'm so determined for Dhamma, therefore I will just not sleep ever until I see Dhamma. It just won't work. Our body needs sleep. So, about that, we don't have a choice. But it's possible to go to sleep with Kelesa by way of laziness, by acting out of laziness, or it's possible to go to sleep wisely and mindfully. So the first point to understand or to get in regard to this is just to decide not to allow oneself to go to sleep with laziness, or also, which is probably even more common, to be lazy on waking up. Like when you wake up, then you think, you're already awake. You don't need to sleep anymore, but I'll just stay here a few more minutes. This is laziness. So this is not acceptable. Also not acceptable is going to bed because, I'm looking forward to lie down in my nice warm bed, or, time to go to bed, even though, let's say, you're not tired, actually. So it's to be able to be honest enough with oneself to recognize with oneself when it's laziness and not actual genuine tiredness. That's the first point. Similarly, on a related point, is actually to, on the other hand, be able to recognize when, now my mind is becoming too tired, my body is becoming too tired, so now my mind is not clear, my actions will not be well calculated, it will be more difficult to pay attention correctly. Therefore, it's better to take a nap if it's in the middle of the day, for example, or if it's the night. Okay, it's more useful to go to sleep and wake up and be sharp and be able to meditate correctly. So it's to understand that it's useless to kind of just like push myself, push my body and my mind beyond the limit of tiredness for no real use, with no real reason, because that will just be a zombie trying to meditate or a zombie trying to work. Your decisions will be no good, it will not be well done, and it's useless. The second main point, which is probably even more important, is to practice being mindful when going to sleep. So it's to understand that it's very common, or it's one of the most common moments, that when we lie down, even if we've been practicing being mindful throughout the day, when we lie down to sleep now, because we're lying down to sleep, we just let the mind go. Like it goes rolling off into moha land, into whatever thought, planning of future, or reminiscing about the past. And this too, we have to understand not to allow. Like, to lie down, and yes, like we're lying down and we're going to go to sleep, but we don't let the mind go. Instead, is to look inside, watch the mind. Even it can be a kind of meditation to watch how does sleep arrive. Or watching breathing, watching the intention of breathing in, intention of breathing out. And we have to keep this until we fall asleep. At some point then the mind will go off to sleep on its own. But up until then, every moment we have been keeping it, watching it. And then also, in the same way, as soon as you wake up, it should be like the moment you open the eyes, you look inside, turn the mind back, watch the mind immediately, and then get up. Without waiting to get up either. Like, just watch the mind and then get up. But don't just run out of bed automatically without watching. Don't either just lie around and roll in bed like a pig. Be present, watch the mind, and get up. And for one who is on the path of the Buddha's teaching, it's very important to understand this, to understand that being mindful is at all points, all times, even at those times when we would most be inclined to allow the mind to go and do whatever it wants, as at those times that we have to learn to get the habit of not allowing it to go wherever it wants, to keep our mindfulness with us 24/7 all the time. And particularly in regard to sleep, it's also just good to mention that this has a lot of benefits. They're like side effects. They're not the aim for which we do this, but they're still very good benefits that can give us encouragement to continue doing it even when it's difficult or even when it's hard to establish this habit. So, for example, you will sleep well because you don't go to sleep carrying anxiety or stress or having the mind already rolling in a subject that will just continue on when you go to sleep. Already the mind is calm when you go to sleep. Second, a very great benefit is that the mind is clear when you wake up. Already the mind is there, it's ready, it's awake, and it doesn't like take a half an hour or just when a coffee just to be able to wake up. Like if you practice being mindful at the moment when you wake up, then you don't lose all this time spent in a kind of careless, lazy, yawning state. And maybe most importantly, at the moment when you are practicing mindfulness correctly, then you are on the path. At any moment when you are not mindful, when you are not meditating, when you are not practicing, you're not on the path. So we don't want to lose any moment of not being mindful, not being careful, because our lives are very short and we already lose a lot of our lives in sleeping. So as I said in the beginning, we don't have a choice to sleep, but we should not delight in sleep, enjoy sleep, and want to increase our sleep. We should want to sleep the bare minimum. And the more we meditate, actually, the more we practice this way of being mindful, we will need less sleep. So if somebody who doesn't meditate and doesn't practice usually will need like 8 hours or even 9 hours of sleep, somebody who is meditating and practicing correctly will need maybe 6 hours maximum of sleep. So know the difference between laziness and real tiredness. Don't allow yourself to become a zombie, and practice mindfulness both when going to sleep and when waking up.